Minorikawa needed to get back to the editing office right away, but despite the urgency, he barely stumbled along. He was swaying on his feet, only half aware of where he was even going. No, this is all some sick joke. He just couldn't accept that Toyama was dead. He let out a lifeless sigh, a cynical smile crept onto his face. The man always did insist on having his own way. Killing himself? Back when he was still a novice reporter, Minorikawa had written a piece about a middle school girl who had committed suicide. The school had made a statement denying that bullying had been a factor. So most of the media had reported that she had suffered a nervous breakdown over entrance exams. A period of mental illness is manifesting as panic disorder, stress-induced anxiety, or the like. The term is commonly used to refer to serious health issues such as schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, manic depression, as well as the buildup of more minor stresses as part of everyday life. Because it is so broadly and vaguely defined, it is generally avoided in psychiatric contexts. Something about the case had kept nagging at him. Had her death really been a suicide? The more people he interviewed about the incident, the more his doubts grew. The city news editor, however, would not allow him to conduct a follow-up investigation. The reason why was simple. This was the sort of thing that happened every day. They couldn't waste time on a case that was already on the books. It was more important for a reporter to find new stories than to squander time and grass in a case that was old news. Minorikawa understood the editor's decision well enough, but that didn't mean he had to like it. He'd been soaking up on the roof, slowly nursing a cigarette when the paper's local news copy editor, Toyama, happened to drop by. At a newspaper, an employee who evaluates the quality and suitability of reporters' copying coverage, effectively the boss of a group of reporters. However, the copy editor typically works under a section editor who has the final say about what makes the page, a middle management position caught between upstart reporters and angry section chief. Say no to the follow-up interviews, Toyama asked, about that girl's suicide. The name of the girl who killed herself was Chiharu Fuyutsuki, but through reading her diary, Minorikawa became convinced it wasn't an ordinary suicide. 6 years from now, Minorikawa would run into a certain teacher and the investigation into the student's death would be reopened. That's another story for another time. Yeah, Minorikawa expelled the plume of his smoke along with a sigh. Nothing tasted quite as bad as cigarette when he was down in the dumps. So what are you going to do? I'm not going to do anything, Minorikawa said. The editor told me no. Oh, the editor said not to? You sound like a child. The rebuff made Minorikawa's temper flare. There are other interviews to do. I want to follow up on this, but there isn't any time. You dumbass! Toyama hauled off and hit him right across the face. What happened to I wrote what I feel in my heart? That's the one thing I refuse to back down on. What happened to the guy who used to bitch at me like that? Toyama's words hit their mark when paid for with painful precision. Interviews aren't over until you have what you need. No? You refuse to let them be over. You go after the truth no matter what anyone tells you. Is that what being a journalist is all about? Minorikawa scowled in chagrin. The man was exactly right. Until you have what you need? Those words have stuck with Minorikawa ever since. In fact, he'd quit the paper to become a freelancer because he couldn't do his job the way he wanted while trapped in that hierarchy. Now he wondered what if Toyama hadn't killed himself, but had instead been the victim of a terrorist attack. But after considering the idea of a moment, he thought bitterly, so what? The reasons and the details hardly matter at this point. What mattered was that Toyama was dead. Minorikawa sat down listlessly and stared up at the sky. The blank swath of blue made him feel all the more worn out. Just what I had all of the days running around before. It felt so empty. So hauled up, I lost. All his motivation had drained away. He had no idea what he should do next. Hey, Minoru Minorikawa. What should you do? Try to listen to his inner voice. If you've gotten your passion, you need to get that back. Stand up right now, you just need to forge ahead. This one. Stand up right now, you just need to forge ahead. Yeah, that was his only option, really. He couldn't just let things end like this. He still didn't have what he needed for his article, so... Minorikawa took a deep breath, ready to get back on his feet. Oh, shit. Before he could, however, a young man stumbled across his path, taking a nasty fall on the pavement. Ow! Oh, damn, that hurts. The youngster scrambled back to his feet and turned to Minorikawa with a snarl. What are you looking at, pal? The young man clutched a piece of timber like a club. There was a nasty gleam in his eyes. I'm not looking at anything, Minorikawa sighed. I just happen to be looking in your direction. Shut your yap. Apologize, bitch, now. The punk raised his cudgel. What for? You tripped me, man. Ain't you gonna apologize for that? The kid had stumbled on his own, but was probably too embarrassed to admit it. He's got to vent his anger at someone. Listen, kid, Minorikawa said. It's not my fault you're such a klutz. You know, like the pedal in a car that's got a manual transmission? Oh, that's a clutch. Okay, so when like lumps of earth or clay, those are clouds, you say? Right, so then we're talking about a sort of social get-together for coffee and conversation, huh? Alright, that's a clutch. Is it when you try to fix something using stuff that isn't really meant for that purpose? That's a clutch? Okay. How you just say to me? Got a death wish, pal? The murderous glare of the punk advanced on him, brandishing his weapon. Hey, Minorikawa said. Is it fun hitting people with that thing? Alright, I'm sorry. Bring it on. Definitely not the first one. That's probably what got Achi killed. Alright. I'm sorry. Getting dragged to the street fight was not what he needed right now. It was better to just apologize and be done with it. You should have shown me that kind of respect from the start. The punk shook his head, muttering under his breath. No dumbass gotta get taught some manners. With that, the young thug headed off in the direction of Doug and Saka. When Minorikawa looked around, he noticed the taxi idling nearby. It was Kimizuka, of course. Need a ride, sir? Kimizuka asked. All politeness as he opened the back door. If you're heading to that publishing office again, I can get you there in 10 minutes. Kimizuka's driving was smooth as always. He drove his way skillfully through a series of back streets. There was some big explosion earlier, he explained. The main roads were all gridlocked. Yeah, Minorikawa muttered. I was there when it happened. Oh wow, really? I'm glad to see you're not hurt then. Still, what a terrible thing. A minivan. I hear someone was inside when it exploded. Not sure if you were aware. Yeah, I'm aware. Oh, nothing gets past a reporter like you, I see. Kimizuka flashed Minorikawa an approving smile through the rearview mirror. How much have you heard then? Rumor has it that the person who died was a middle-aged man. Oh, huh. We taxi drivers tend to hear quite a bit ourselves. Kimizuka chuckled, but Minorikawa just cast his eyes down forlornly. You look tired, sir. Yeah, I guess so. His reply was barely audible. The taxi stopped outside of Heaven Publishing. Minorikawa left a 1,000-yen bill and the seat exited the cab. He was stumbling his way toward the building when someone called out to him. Mr. Minorikawa! For a moment, Minorikawa didn't recognize the man now idling his sedan at the curb, but when he took a closer look, he realized it was Kenji Osawa. Right, since the case is closed, I guess he can do whatever he wants. Oh, Mr. Osawa. Sorry, but I haven't been able to look into that thing you asked about yet. I see. It's quite alright. Osawa looked pale and haggard. Minorikawa's reporter sense started tingling. This guy is the key to something. He recalled what he heard the detective and his buddy talking about back at the scene of the explosion. Roughly 8 hours ago, they infected Maria Osawa with the UO virus. If we don't administer Kenji Osawa's antiviral before she develops symptoms... You're caught up in something big, aren't you? How do you know that? Because the reporter said simply. I'm Minoru Minorikawa. Osawa rolled his eyes. Well, that'll make this simpler, I guess. Get in. I'll tell you everything. Minorikawa hesitated. This might be his big chance to land a beyond incredible scoop. Yet it felt like it was too late to matter. Still landing a major story, selling out an issue of 4-side general gossip, and putting Heaven Publishing on the road to solvency, all that was the least he could do in Toyama's memory. You don't drop a story until you have what you need. Maybe it was too late to save Toyama. Minorikawa got in the car. Osawa's tale was beyond anything Minorikawa had imagined. So, they send you threatening emails, devise a plan to kidnap your daughter in order to get the antiviral, and now that that's failed, they're returning to bioterrorism? Finally, Minorikawa was able to flesh out the story behind the conversation he overheard earlier. And as he did, he could feel a growing sense of exhilaration. So basically, they're now effectively holding all the people in Shibuya hostage, demanding the antiviral is that it. Before Osawa could answer, a new idea occurred to Minorikawa. Wait, hold on. Why did they just start by holding the whole city hostage? Why did they need to go through all the trouble of kidnapping your daughter? I don't know, Osawa said, shaking his head. Perhaps they wanted the ransom money. For a mere 50 million yen? You can't imagine international terrorists bothering for that much. You can't know how terrorists think, Osawa spat. Let's just assume, though. Could there be some other reason they abducted your daughter? Osawa didn't reply. He's probably too preoccupied with finding a way to save his infected daughter to think about anything else. Still, something about the course of events didn't quite add up to Minorikawa. But whatever the case, if the criminals were after this antiviral, then sticking with Osawa ought to bring him back closer to the truth. Minorikawa was still mulling that over when they arrived at the laboratory. Oh shit. Two men hopped out of the car and were immediately rushed by a pair of security guards, who subdued them in a matter of moments. Hey, Minorikawa protested. What the hell is this? Unhand me, Osawa yelled. I'm Kenji Osawa. This is my lab. But evidently that didn't matter to the guards. Another man emerged in the building. He and Osawa exchanged a few brief words. Judging from the tone of the conversation, this was someone who outranked Osawa at the company. Take him away. As the newcomer looked on, the guards dragged Osawa into the building. Hey, Minorikawa shouted at the man as he began to walk away. Don't you know what's going to happen to Shibuya? Don't you care? If you just stand by and let the people of this city die, Okoshi Pharmaceutical is going to be held responsible. The man stopped in his tracks. If that happens, you'll be ruined personally too, Minorikawa added. You know I'm right. That will be up for the police to decide. You're going to regret this. Don't be a fool. Minorikawa's resolve was unwavering. His pen would mute out justice. He might have come close to forgetting what he'd once stood for. But now the old fire was back. I see. It seems this isn't something to leave unchecked. The man gestured with his jaw. Take him as well. Oh shit. More security guards surrounded Minorikawa. Hey, stop it! Let me go! But though he struggled fiercely, there was no escape. Once he was dragged through those laboratory doors, Minorikawa never wrote another article again. Oh shit. What a bad end. Damn. Bad end. I think I had a bad end for everybody now. Jesus. Number 60, detained at the lab. Minorikawa accompanied Osawa to the lab, but there was no getting past the security guards. And if even Osawa can't get into his own lab, there's no real reason to go there. It's Osawa who needs to decide on a different course of action here. So it should be Osawa. Wow.